Hello everyone and welcome to Deadly Destinations. In today's video, we're diving into a true story that begins like any other relaxing vacation, but ends in something far darker.
The wife of 43-year-old Jorge Guillen, the Texas man electrocuted at a hot tub at a Rocky Point resort, is now suing that business.
It's a case that's not only tragic, but chilling in the way it unfolded, quietly, suddenly, and in plain view of dozens of witnesses. What was supposed to be a peaceful getaway for a loving couple from Texas became a horrifying ordeal involving unseen forces, delayed rescue, and a fatal oversight that turned a hot tub into a death trap. This incident may not involve the unknown or the unexplained, but the details are deeply unsettling, and the implications are just as terrifying. So viewer discretion is advised. On the evening of June 11th, 2024, the sun cast a golden hue over the tranquil shores of Puerto Peñasco, Mexico, known to many American tourists as Rocky Point. It's the kind of place couples dream of. Warm breezes, waves lapping at the shore, the hum of relaxation in the air. But for one couple from El Paso, Texas, that dream vacation was about to morph into a waking nightmare. Jorge Guillen, 43, and his wife Lizette Zambrano, 35, had checked into the Sonoran Sea Resort, a beachfront condominium complex perched along the Sea of Cortez. The couple, beloved in their hometown and described by friends as inseparable, were eager to enjoy a peaceful retreat from their daily routines. For Jorge, this was more than just a getaway. It was a well-earned reward. He was days away from graduating from Western Technical College, where he had studied heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. He had big plans, not just for himself, but for their future. That Tuesday evening, as the desert sun dipped below the horizon, the couple made their way to the resort's outdoor hot tub. It was a scene out of a postcard. Calm water, illuminated by soft resort lighting, the sounds of vacationers fading into the background. But something sinister lurked beneath the surface. Hidden behind the glossy sheen of the bubbling spa was a silent killer. As Jorge stepped into the water, his body suddenly jolted. Witnesses reported that he violently before collapsing into the hot tub. At first, some thought he might have slipped or had a seizure. But within seconds, Lizette screamed and lunged toward him, only to be thrown back by the same invisible force. She too was electrocuted, her muscles frozen, her body rendered helpless as the water turned into a deadly trap. Vacationers nearby, sensing that something was terribly wrong, rushed to help, but were themselves repelled by painful electric shocks when they touched the water. Panic quickly spread across the pool deck. People screamed for help. Some tried desperately to reach the couple with towels, poles, anything non-metallic that might break the current, but nothing worked. The water had become a conduit of death, and no one could get near it without being shocked. It took approximately 10 agonizing minutes for the resort staff to cut the power to the area. By then, Jorge's body had sunk beneath the water's surface. Lizette was barely conscious, floating with what little strength remained in her limp frame. When the current finally ceased, guests and employees pulled the couple from the water. Paramedics arrived shortly afterward. Jorge Guillen was pronounced dead at the scene. Lizette Zambrano was still alive, but barely. She was airlifted by emergency medical helicopter across the border to Phoenix, Arizona, where she was admitted to a trauma center and treated for severe electrical burns and neurological trauma. Doctors later confirmed that she had survived a full-body electric shock that could have easily been fatal. In the days that followed, the Sonoran Sea Resort became the epicenter of a tragic mystery. How could something like this happen at a luxury resort? How did an ordinary hot tub, meant for relaxation and enjoyment, become a death trap? The answer, it appears, lies in a catastrophic failure of basic safety protocols. Within days of the incident, electrical engineers and safety inspectors began combing through the wiring and control systems at the resort. Preliminary findings pointed to a fault in the grounding system. possibly damaged or improperly installed wiring that allowed live electrical current to flow directly into the water. There was no ground fault circuit interrupter, a simple but critical device that cuts electricity in milliseconds when it detects current leakage, like when someone is being shocked. Its absence likely cost Jorge his life. In the weeks that followed, Lizette Zambrano filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the resort's owners, operators, and associated entities. The lawsuit, seeking more than $1 million in damages, alleges gross negligence, poor maintenance, and a stunning lack of emergency preparedness. According to her legal team, not only was the wiring faulty, but resort staff failed to respond adequately once the electrocution occurred. Guests reported confusion and delays. Some claimed the resort didn't have a trained emergency response plan. They didn't know what to do. One witness told local reporters, "There was no lifeguard, no defibrillator. It felt like no one was in charge." The lawsuit also revealed a chilling detail. Jorge may have suffered for several minutes before finally drowning or succumbing to the electric current. Those moments when help was so close, yet so impossible to reach, haunt Lizette and the witnesses to this day. Jorge's family and friends were devastated. At his funeral in El Paso, loved ones described him as a kind and devoted husband, someone with a heart of gold who always put others first. His instructors at Western Technical College spoke of his work ethic and his excitement to begin a new chapter in his life. He was on the cusp of starting his own business in HVAC. Ironic, given that the very electrical systems he had studied were what ultimately led to his death. Meanwhile, Lizette continues to recover physically and emotionally. Her injuries were serious, but the emotional trauma runs deeper. In interviews through her attorneys, she has expressed her heartbreak and her determination to hold those responsible accountable, not just for Jorge, but to prevent other families from suffering a similar fate. The case has also raised broader questions about safety standards in Mexican resorts. While many high-end destinations maintain strong maintenance protocols, others may cut corners, particularly in areas less scrutinized by U.S. tourists. Electrical safety, in particular, can vary widely. Some resorts lack up-to-date infrastructure or regular inspections, increasing the risk of tragic malfunctions. American tourists, who make up a significant portion of Mexico's tourism revenue, are rarely warned of such dangers. There are no standardized international safety regulations for hot tubs and pools, and oversight is often left to local jurisdictions. In Sonora, for example, there are no mandatory requirements for GFCI protections in older resort constructions unless renovations are undertaken. As of early 2025, investigations into the Sonoran Sea Resort's liability remain ongoing. Authorities are examining whether the resort violated Mexican safety codes and whether criminal negligence charges could be warranted. Meanwhile, tourism officials have remained relatively silent, offering condolences, but little in the way of policy changes. For many who heard the story, it has become a cautionary tale. The idea that a hot tub so often associated with comfort and serenity could turn deadly in a split second is deeply unsettling. It exposes the fragility of safety in places we assume are secure, and the hidden dangers that can lie beneath the surface unseen, unheard, until it's too late. Back in El Paso, Lizette Zambrano is slowly piecing her life back together. She wears Jorge's wedding ring on a chain around her neck. She speaks of him not in the past tense, but as if he's still present in her thoughts, guiding her through each day. Her mission now is twofold: to grieve and to fight for justice, for accountability, and for change. Jorge Guillen's story has rippled far beyond Puerto Peñasco. His death was not just a personal tragedy, it was a preventable failure. And in its eerie, almost cinematic horror, it has reminded many that paradise too has shadows. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. And if you want to support the channel, consider subscribing here on YouTube. Hopefully, I will see you in the next one.